Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Boundless Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with us. We have Jazz. How are you doing, Jazz?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Glad to hear it. I'm glad you could actually make it with us this time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Before we get started, could you just, give everyone your Instagram so they can know who the heck we're actually talking to today?
So I am Jazz the Bat Cosplay, JAZZTHEBATCOSPLAY.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Nice. And is it the same for Instagram and Facebook or any other platform?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Very nice. Yeah. All of the above. I got to be on multiple platforms nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Jazz is a phenomenal armor maker. She has some crazy stuff on her Instagram. She just spelled it out, as you're listening to this episode. Go check it out. She's going to give us some awesome tips and ideas and whatever have you on making armor. So please check out her stuff. So to get started, where do you cosplay out of? Where's home?
Home base right now is Atlanta.
Nice.
So I go to a lot of Atlanta cons and then in the southern region kind of. I'm starting to branch out more, but mainly Atlanta. Yeah.
Which cons would you say they're like your favorite? Because, Atlanta has some pretty awesome cons.
My all-time favorite con is Dragon Con. I will never not go to Dragon Con unless I physically can't go.
Dragon Con is a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's also what you choose to make it be, So I just appreciate that I can, if I want to go and be nerdy, I can go to the vendor's room and, go to panels and stuff like that. But if I want to go party, I can still do that. And it's an intense party scene, but there's just so much to do. It's a lot, but it gives you a lot of options too. So
I remember my first time going to Dragon Con was maybe 3 to 4 years ago, and I had no idea the scale. I was like, oh my God, it's like 4 blocks of just utter awesomeness.
Yeah, it's chaos, but in the best way possible.
It's crazy. And how many people come to Dragon Con? 60, 80,000 or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's one of Atlanta's biggest events in general, and I know that I think it's actually maybe more than 80,000. I know we literally flood Atlanta during that time.
It's crazy, so. Yeah. I remember the funniest thing I saw maybe a year ago. I don't know if anyone remembers the show Squidbillies, or have you seen Squidbillies?
I remember Squidbillies.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, not one of my best moments or shows, but a guy came down the street in a homemade Squidbilly car that was
oh my God,
foot powered, and I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I thought that was so cool.
See, at Dragon, I see so many things that I wouldn't even think to see at a convention too.
Yeah.
It's just I recommend it to everyone, no matter where you are. If you really like cons and you're really into just traveling for them, Dragon Con it's a place to be.
I completely agree. Yeah, you'll see anything and everything. The parties there are awesome. Of course, you're in Atlanta. And even if you don't, what? I'm taking a break from the cosplay scene. Some great nightclubs, everything. So
everything.
Yeah.
I'm not even really a big partier, but at Dragon Con I am.
Yeah, Dragon Con, I have to. I don't want to. I have to.
I have to.
Nice. So, as I was telling everyone, you make some phenomenal cosplays. Specifically, the Bowser cosplay she's done. What's his name from the Jabari? What's his name?
M'Baku.
Baku, yes. It was slipping my mind all of a sudden. Your Thor cosplay, all really, really good. And I just want to discuss. I guess we could go, in chronological order, but let's start with the Bowser cosplay. How did that, become a thing? How did you do this?
Okay, so I made Bowser last year for Anime Expo. Actually, that was my first con I wore it, which is in California. It was my first time making full armor out of foam. Up until then, I had been making full pieces. My Roadhog cosplay was the cosplay I did before that, and so I practiced with all those pieces. But then I was like, you know what? I'm bored. I want to do something challenging and hard and something I'd never done before. To me, I guess that was make a whole set of Bowser armor. So yeah, it was a learning process, but like a intense learning process because I only gave myself like a month and a half to do everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, how many hours did you put into it?
I think maybe in total, if I condensed it all based on like took out all the time I had to go to work and all that, it's probably like a good 2 weeks of work.
That's it? I wasn't expecting you to say a lot longer.
No, I apparently I work fast. I've heard
Wow.
that a lot. I've made my Imbaku armor 8 days before Dragon Con, so
Oh my
I do
God.
work kind of fast. I admit that, but yeah,
That's yeah, that's impressive, and especially to be your first set. I mean, you killed it.
yeah. I mean, I had been researching up until then. It wasn't just like a super spontaneous thing.
Hmm.
Like I would constantly watch YouTube videos on how to make armor, how to make breastplates, etc. So like I was learning before then, but like the actual practice didn't happen until a month and a half before.
Man, well, yeah, I tip my hat to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's phenomenal. What's it made out of?
Foam, and then
EVA foam or craft foam?
yeah, EVA foam and craft foam. Yeah, most of it's from TNT Cosplay Supply, and then like my axe is a PVC pipe covered in more EVA foam. So it's
Nice,
mostly EVA foam. Yeah.
very nice. And how much would you say it all cost you?
So I had a unique experience where I had to not only get the materials, but I also had to get the tools.
You're using, rock and chisel. What's going on here?
Well, I had to get like I wanted a Dremel, I wanted a heat gun. Heat gun is essential, I think, to foam armor, and I needed like safety gear, face masks, and all that. I need a lot of glue. Yeah, so it was an added cost to my costume. So I think overall I probably spent like around $300-400. People forget that plus size cosplayers have to spend a little bit more money sometimes to do the same costumes everyone else does because
Hmm.
we need more material. So that adds to my cost too. So
Ah, gotcha. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I can understand that, of course. Well, I think you're a gorgeous cosplayer. So
Oh, thank you. Thank
yes,
you.
yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, what made you go with EVA foam instead of Warbler or instead of thermoplastic or whatever?
So I attempted to make a breastplate for one of my cosplays. I used to cosplay, and I still do, but cosplay is kind of progress right now again. But I used to cosplay Big Barda, and she's a superhero from DC. She has like this big golden chest plate. Before I like really did my research on armor and all that, I was like, everyone uses Warbler, so let me try that.
Hmm.
And it was a disaster.
Really?
Yeah,
What
it was
happened?
Warple's really hard to work with, and it's really hard to work with when you're trying to do a large area when you've never done it before. So I wasted like $100 of Warpla. I mean, I still am using bits and pieces from it, like
Mhm.
to this day for like my cosplays, but it was just an absolute mess and it was falling apart. I made it too hot. I burned it, which is really hard to do. You're not supposed to burn warm, but I did it. So, but it was just a really tough material. And like people don't tell you how tough it is, but it's really hard to deal with, especially if you are a first timer. I think foam is just more forgiving. It's more forgiving for mistakes and stuff too, and it's less expensive.
Gotcha. But like, so I mean, personally, I am an absolute noob. I've never worked with Warba, EVA foam. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'd screw up, what is that stuff called? Craft paper, like the stuff you get back in. Yeah, I have no idea what to do with anything. But
Mm.
like, why is Warbler so difficult? Like, what makes it difficult?
Well, it involves heat,
Hmm.
intense heat. It involves understanding how to mold things. It's just really expensive. Working with a heat gun for the first time, trying to figure out how to mold Warbler into a viable shape for a breastplate when I can't just use a regular mannequin because again I'm bigger. Trying to do all that on top of it being my first time using it at all was just I don't recommend Warbler for beginners. I know that some people say that you can do it, and if you really truly do all your research, you probably could do it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think foam is just more forgiving. And again, it's cheaper. So if you mess up, you're not like out $100. So
Gotcha. Yeah, man. $100 is a lot of money, at least to me.
yeah. Yeah.
$5 a lot of money. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so I know you're not just, boom, slathering yourself up with Warbler, boom, slathering yourself up with EVA foam.
Mhm.
How do you mold it to your body? Like, how am I going to get the dimensions of my body aside from obviously, like, using a tape measure?
Well, I use the duct tape patterning technique. So
For
um,
us, even because I obviously don't know what that is. So
yeah,
for those who
so
don't know,
so duct tape patterning is basically you wrap yourself in like plastic wrap, and then you wrap yourself in duct tape, and then you draw
really,
everything
like
on your
saran
body. Yeah, yeah, saran wrap. So and then you draw everything, all the little details and stuff for like the shape you want,
wrap.
and then you cut it off of your body, and then that's your template for your armor.
Interesting. Never heard
Yeah,
of
so
this.
it makes it significantly easier because you can use templates and stuff online, but it's not tailored to your body. And so when you do the duct tape patterning thing, that's literally a cast of your body, and you're gonna make it to fit you. So
Very interesting, huh? I'm definitely gonna have to, one day just try this. That just even sounds fun just to try.
yeah, I mean it looks silly because you're just covering yourself up in duct tape, but it's really effective and it saves me so much time.
And then you take the EVA foam and put that on top of the duct tape.
No, so then I like say I wanted to make a breastplate.
Hmm.
I draw the shape I want, and then I cut off the duct tape, and then cut off all the little pieces that I drew.
Hmm.
And then you have to separate it. It's part by part, basically. Take the pieces of the duct tape that now are like pieces of armor, and then I trace them on paper. So it's a little bit like cardstock paper.
Hmm.
So now it's more of like a template, and then I draw it on foam and cut it out, glue it together, and all that
Very
fun stuff.
interesting. I mean, I would have never ever thought of such a thing. That's insane. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, have you ever experimented with 3D printing?
Not personally.
Hmm.
I don't really have access to a 3D printer, but I have had pieces 3D printed and added to my costume. For example, my Bowser
Hmm.
horns are
Hmm.
3D printed, and I got them from a seller on Etsy actually,
Nice, nice.
because I was short for time, and again, it was my first time making armor, and I didn't want to also had to figure out how to make horns too.
Mhm.
And then most recently, my Thor cosplay, there are little circle armor bits on
Yeah, I
my
see them
cape.
on here. Uh huh.
And so that is 3D printed by a friend of mine. Because
Nice.
I could have done it myself, but I was in a time crunch and I
No,
didn't
I
want to.
understand.
So 3D printing is really an interesting addition to cosplay. I appreciate how fast it makes things, and I can understand why people use it. I just think that people get confused and think that they have to have a 3D printer in order to cosplay, which is entirely not the case.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but
Gotcha.
it tends to get misconstrued because they see so many people using 3D printers that like they're like, oh well, I don't have one of those. Well, you can figure it out yourself. You don't need one.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Huh, okay. Do you know how to do modeling for 3D printing, like how to make a breastplate for it and stuff like that?
no, I haven't learned that.
Okay.
I'm a little challenged when it comes to computer stuff sometimes. Like,
Hmm.
I'm an illustrator, so I know how to do Photoshop and Illustrator and all that. But like as far as modeling goes, I don't know where to even begin. And then I
Gotcha.
know that there's some math involved too, and that's just way over my head.
Yeah,
So,
numbers don't make sense. I
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I tried to watch how people do it, how they model stuff for 3D printing, and I was like, this is a different language to me. I don't know.
Yeah. You
Like
know,
I'm sure it's easy, but I can't figure it out.
sure. I've watched like several videos on it. I'm still just as confused as when like the first time I clicked the first video.
Yeah.
But I do remember watching some video where somebody was like taking the what's that thing called, the Microsoft camera that lets like, well, what is the name of that daggone camera for the Xbox?
Oh, the Connect.
Yes, the Kinect. Yes, and they
Oh,
were like using that to somehow make like a 3D model of themselves, so it was like fully proportional.
uh-huh.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, man, that. And then they were doing it at one of the conventions too. They were like, yeah, we'll make a 3D model of you.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to do that someday, but
Yeah, I need to do that too. But like sometimes I'm like, man, I need to just like get like butt naked and get in one of these things so I can get some real dimensions going
I
on.
mean, yeah, like it would be so cool to have just a reference of yourself too. Like I was thinking
Yeah.
about, there's this app called like My Body Model or something like that, where they take your measurements and they make you like a template that you can print out of your body and then like draw
Really?
clothes and stuff on it. It's to help you with designing clothes for yourself. Yeah, like being able to not have to duct tape myself all the time to figure out what my body looks like and just having it there to look at would be perfect, because like I have to, especially when I'm making like a new costume, I have to figure out the proportions and stuff, because like most of the characters like, well, I cosplay taller characters, but at the same time like it's still, they're mostly like men sometimes, and it's hard to translate armor for men to women and all that. So it'd be better if I just had like something to look at.
Gotcha, just a reference point.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Very interesting, huh? So I'm new to cosplay. This is my first time, and let's say I want to make something crazy, like those Monster Hunter armors you see, or like let's see, what's another crazy armor? So like a Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
Like where do I start? What do I do? How do I get this going?
Don't do that as your first costume. Like,
we're all ambitious.
I know, yeah, like I appreciate the ambition and like I get it, because that was me too, but like your first armor cosplay is not going to look that fantastic unless you really take your time, like a year and a half to really perfect it, and you're watching YouTube videos and you've got like someone to help you, maybe. But like if you're doing this all on your own for the first time and you've never touched the materials and stuff like that, unless you're like an Einstein, a genius, I can't imagine doing like a full Gundam armor for my first time. Like that would just be crazy. I mean, I would be super impressed by anyone that could do it. But yeah, I would just say don't let that be your first cosplay. I would start small and build your way up.
Gotcha. So where should I start? What kind of armor, what series should I be looking at to try to mimic?
Anime? I feel like a lot of like fighting fantasy anime, unless it's like a crazy like Urza from Fairy Tail, like her armor is out of the question. But like,
out of the question.
Yeah, anime characters where they have like like a shoulder piece, or they have like a really cool glove or something, like an armor, like Edward Elric. His arm, that's a great first try. Like it will be hard. It's a hard thing to figure out, but it's not a full set of armor, and that will teach you the ins and outs of what you need to do. That's you get the basics on learning how to make that. So
okay.
I would just, anything where it's like not full armor, but like bits and pieces.
Gotcha. Okay, just say start with the leg, start with an arm, whatever.
Yeah, like someone who has robotic legs, or again, like a shoulder pauldron or whatever, or like, I don't know, like a weird corset armor thing, just not full armor. Because then you also have to learn how to like attach it all to your body. And then you're like, well, I made all this stuff, but now how do I put it on me? And that's just a whole other uphill battle. Yeah. So I would, start small.
What about like you were saying, attaching it? Do you use magnets, or how do they stick? How does you can't build your? I mean, technically you could, but your chest piece, I'm pretty sure it's like a back and a front. How do you get them to stick to each other?
Well, actually, my chest piece is one big thing, and it's attached and it is kind of like a corset situation, although it's not really a corset situation. It's just two backpack clips in the back.
Okay.
And then I just tighten it real tight, and then it's, on my body. That's essentially, I use mostly the clips and then like elastic. A lot of people like don't really realize that the attachments aren't really that aesthetically pleasing unless you're like going to enter your costume into a contest. Like people just, it's all like hot glue, super glue, and tape on the inside. Like if I show anyone the inside of my armor, it looks a hot mess.
Not attractive on the inside, as long as it's attractive on the outside.
Exactly.
Perfect. Very interesting. Speaking of that, do you enter many cosplay contests?
I've only entered one, and it was for fun. I never entered one before, so I just wanted to see what it was like. Last year, I did Atlanta Comic Con's cosplay contest. I think Atlanta Comic Con was its first year last year. So I was like, it's its first year. There's no pressure or anything. Let me just see what it's like. Did not win. Didn't expect to win, though. So, but it definitely was a good gauge to see, like, what is required of people that enter cosplay contests. Because I thought, like, I felt pretty good about my Bowser armor. And that's what I entered
It
with.
was really good, yeah.
Thank you. It was nowhere near the level of like the people that actually won the contest. So
Gotcha.
it was good to see what it was like, and now I know what I can put into or what I have to put into my costume if I want to compete again. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have no idea what the cosplayer's name is, but he made that Bahamut cosplay. Have you seen it? You know, Bahamut from Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he made this cosplay. And oh my gosh, it was ridiculous. Like, you know, he was like standing like 11 feet tall or something like that. And he had the wings and they were all multicolored. And
Oh, yeah.
oh my, he had like that huge wheel thing on his back that Bahamut has. Oh my, I was like, I can't even imagine how much time and money you put into this thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The people that do costume contests, they're insane, but in like the best way possible. Like the amount of dedication and work they put into it is
they are serious, and I love it.
Yeah, it's really like I love seeing people put so much work into something that they enjoy.
Agreed.
And seeing the end product and seeing how it's possible for people to make like an 11-foot character and have it like move and smoke and there's wings and all that. Like that's so cool. Like
yeah. It is.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Like it's always been my dream to be a freaking what do they call it? A Marine, not called Marine specifically, but from Warhammer. I'm a Blood Raven specifically. You know,
okay.
Like my gosh, a Space Marine. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to. It's like my dream as a kid to be a Space Marine. And yeah, I'm like one of these days I'm going to find someone because I'm too lazy and not talented enough to make this dream come true. And, you know, I've like asked a few people and like gotten quotes or whatever. And they're like, yeah, you know, like $4,000 or $5,000. I'm like, oh yeah, like let me get on this like kidney selling program and then maybe,
It'd be worth it though, because I'm sure you look real cool. But yeah, it's a steep commissioning stuff is a whole nother monster.
Yeah.
Some serious cash too.
I completely understand. You know, it's definitely worth that kind of money, somebody's time. I get it. But if I'm paying like $5,000 for a cosplay, that sucker is getting worn to church. Getting worn. Never. I'm sleeping in it. Yes, I'm going on first dates in it. Yeah, this is I
had a friend of mine. She just commissioned a wig, and it was a card note wig. We told her that like you're doing your taxes in this wig, you're getting married in this wig.
I'm serious, man. You know, that brings me to another point about like basically money in the cosplay world and appreciation of one's talents. I feel like a lot of cosplayers say crazy stuff like, oh, you know, I don't have money for commissions, or I don't have money for photos, or I don't have money for whatever have you. And then they're leaving the dealer's room like it was Christmas. And I'm like, well, unless they were in there just giving out posters and giving out, you know, figurines, that came from somewhere.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, I'm like, you know, I think in the cosplay world, there needs to be more emphasis on craft and people's abilities. And, you know, like less downplay. Like, you know, for example, your abilities. Like if I were to ask you for a commission, you know, I can't, you know, be like, oh, you know, well, I've only got $400 and I'm expecting this whatever, you know, fairy tale armor set, you know. So like what are your thoughts on it?
People need to know, commissioners need to know the value of the people that are commissioning, and then the people that are doing the commissions, they need to know their own value. Basically, because I'm an illustrator too, and so you have to understand that if you are doing this, it's taking your time and your skill. If you're trying to make a living off doing these things, you need to be charging, you know, a livable wage. It's basically like you don't expect to ask someone who makes like $7 an hour to be a surgeon or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no, I get you. Yeah.
So like a cosplayer, if they have the skills to make stuff move, if they have like just intense and really detailed like craftsmanship, you're paying for that quality, and you shouldn't be expecting to pay like lowball them on that, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they've developed that stuff over time, they've developed those skills over time, and they're also using their time to make you something. Like they could be working a different job,
Yeah.
but they're spending
Yeah.
time on your costumes, so they need to be paid for that, you know, time. People who are looking to commission, they have to understand that you have to be prepared to spend money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and if you really are like, if you want someone to commission, or if you want someone to do your costume, and they give you a high number, you either commit to it or you don't want the costume. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it. And like I know a lot of commission people, they can work with you. Some people do like, and only some, but some people do like payment plans because they understand it's a lot of money, but like you have to be prepared to spend money because it's like for like me, like if I were making just a simple like axe or something that is detailed, but you know, still is only an axe, that would cost someone like at least upwards of 250. And that's lowballing it for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, like it's just, you know, you gotta pay for, and materials is a thing too. You're not only paying the person to make it, you're also paying for the materials.
Yeah, for the time and for the products in them. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's also, and that's sometimes the biggest cost is the materials. So I mean, that is the biggest cost. So
you want armor, you got to pay for armor. Yeah.
yeah.
Very nice. Gotcha. And so, do you do commissions?
I do occasionally. I'm starting to do more. Again, I wanted to work on my own stuff and kind of work on my own craft before I offered to pay or to take other people's money to do it. But yeah, I do some commissions. I've done some in the past too, some smaller like prop stuff. But yeah, I do commissions.
Nice. So we're actually coming to the end of this segment, so I'll just end with a few more questions. Who do you look up to in the cosplay world? You know, either for their cosplays or for their photography skills or for their armor making abilities, whatever have you.
When I look at cosplayers, my biggest thing is how people conduct themselves in person and in social media. I think a lot of cosplayers sometimes, like a lot of popular ones, they forget that because they're popular, they have an audience that is kind of impressionable sometimes. So I look for people that, you know, have handled themselves pretty well and have managed to stay out of hot water and stuff like that. My biggest inspiration is actually Allison Tabitha.
I'm not familiar with her.
So Allison Tabitha, I believe she's a Floridian cosplayer, but she's insanely popular. She has gone viral several times for like her, you've probably seen her, but for her Wonder Woman cosplay, her Johnny Depp cosplay, she just is insanely talented, and she can really, I think she's a shapeshifter. That's like how she ends up looking like each character. But anyway, she is such a positive person. When she is at cons as a guest, like all she's doing is being there to take photos with her, like her fans. People love her. Everyone's so like, I've never heard anything negative about her. And everyone just seems so excited to meet her. And she uses her cosplays to volunteer with children at hospitals and stuff like that. So she's like just a really positive and a person that makes a good impact on the community. So I appreciate her. I also appreciate people that are really vocal about issues in the cosplay community and in social justice and the combination of social justice and like nerd culture. So another person I look up to is Talin Kell. Yeah. She's a cosplayer, and she's very upfront about her feelings and about what's bothering her and what she feels like is happening in cosplay and social media and fandom and nerdom in general. And she's not afraid to say what she wants to say, and I appreciate it. So.
I do. I love that. Just be honest, be to the point, and stop trying to be so politically correct. Just say what needs to be said.
Yeah, I really respect her. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Nice. Okay. And so for our last question, which I'm sure lots of people are interested in, is do you think that like cosplaying is a viable profession, such as, I don't know, being a cosplay model or doing commissions or blogging or photography, podcasting, whatever have you?
I think it's the same as asking if like a YouTuber is a viable profession, and they're content creators, and I think that's a profession in itself. You're keeping people entertained, however way you choose to do that. If you're working hard to keep people interested, keep people entertained, you're putting in money into making sure that people are enjoying your stuff. Like that's yeah. I think if you're spending more 40 hours a week on something, then that's definitely a
I
profession.
agree. I definitely agree. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because I think cosplay it's a hobby for most.
Hmm.
And I think it should stay as a hobby for most people because
Hmm.
a lot of people don't realize how much work that professional cosplayers put into
Oh
being
yeah.
a professional cosplayer.
Hmm.
I think it's a profession. I think it's viable. I think it's hard to do. I think it's extremely hard to do. I don't think it's for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's viable. I don't even know if I would want to be a professional cosplayer, but
Hey, who knows? Maybe one day that opportunity will fall on your doorsteps, and you'll be like, "I am ready for this."
yeah, I mean, as long as like I don't know, my goal would be to just be able to go to different cons and see people, and I guess maybe be a guest one day. But other
Hmm.
than that, I don't need to do all the extra professional stuff. Like that's so. I'm already hard to reach on social media, so I can't imagine having to like keep 50,000 people entertained. So.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I'm just trying to dress up and have some fun, guys. That's it. Nice, nice. All right. Well, I would like to thank you so much again for having you come on the show and discuss some armor making tips with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is fun.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, hopefully I can, get you back after you make whatever crazy costume you're making next.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the next armor build will be kind of intense. So
Uh-oh. Well, I'm looking forward to it, whatever it's going to be, the mystery.
yeah,
All right. Well, once again, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And until next time, stay boundless. See you next time, guys. Bye bye.